Wanted to ask you about theme because this is a bane of mine because I'm very guilty of preaching. Because we want to have something at the end of our experience. We want to have a great story. That's primary. But after that, we want to have a little bit of what's it all about? What are we taking away from this? But we don't want to be preachy. So where do you find authors straddling the line between preachiness and having a complete theme that adds up? That if we dissected it in our literature class, we'd say, yes, good job. We could write a paper on this.
You know, I think my friend Roger Sutton, who I met in Zena Sutherland's children's literature class when I was in college, and he's the editor of the Hornbook magazine and children's book critic.
I saw you were interviewed there about your love of Broadway.
That's right. Roger and I have been discussing this since I was in college. I'm not sure that children's books all hold up to the deeper kind of deconstructing I did in literature classes. I don't mean that they're not valuable and wonderful. I'm not sure that there are a lot of writers that hold up to that much. Like I said, that you'd want to write a college paper on one book. Maybe if you were studying children's books anyway. But I've also wondered about that because George Bernard Shaw is one of my favorite playwrights. And I've wondered for years, he's so didactic. He always has a political agenda and his plays are so entertaining. And then I thought, well, he owns it. He's not trying to sneak it in there. He's, Mrs. Warne's Profession. He's writing about how women have to make money, or Major Barbara. He's always sort of owning his agenda. And I think that's where something becomes didactic. It's when you're trying to preach. I had an argument with my friend Kathy Petter about a book that I didn't read, but she was writing her thesis for Vermont College for her master's degree. And there's a book where a grandfather he's trapped in a mine, and the family's very poor because he won't allow them to accept any relief. And in her thesis, she said he should have, wouldn't it have been better if when he was in the mine, he had like a change of heart and came out and said, this family's going to be a lot better off if we sign up for welfare. And I was like, what the fuck? Oh, sorry. I was like, that was a terrible idea. But the grandfather is going to suddenly, become a different character and learn an important lesson. I would puke if I was a kid. I read that. So I think you should just tell your story, and the meaning and satisfaction will take care of itself. That's my philosophy.
Gotcha, but if I want to defend it in a thesis program later, I'll just be high and dry.
Well, give me an example of a book a middle grade novel where you can defend
where you can...
besides Harry Potter, which I think there's 7 books and you could make an argument. But give me another example.
Oh, let's see. Well, Watership Down, I suppose. I don't know for...
Watership Down isn't even considered a children's novel in the United States. Also, could you give me an example that's not from 1974?
Off the top of my head, let's see. Well, sure. They Threw Us Away by previous guest Daniel Krauss.
I haven't read that book. It sounds great.
Oh, it's amazing. I highly recommend it.
Read that.
That's one where the fun keeps, but by God, by the end, the theme does add up. It has the checkpoints.
That sounds terrific. I'm going to look, as soon as I get through A Suitable Boy, which I have a scant 1,100 pages left of, I will look at that.
You know what? I love every book, and I try never to say one's my favorite. That one really just spoke to me because it was about things that I personally loved. So never have favorites. I love every author's book that I ever review or talk to on the show, but that one is really, really excellent.
Oh, thank you. Okay. But it sounds to me like you're saying a few of them hit that mark.
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Sure. You put me on. Here's what's terrible, and I hope this is common of more writers than just me, but maybe it's just me and a neurological problem. I know things intensely about books while I'm reading them, but then trying to remember all the little checkpoints. I'll remember the big moments, but trying to go back in my head is spur of the moment. I'm terrible at it.
So my thing is, I'm pretty good at remembering what I've read, especially, which is why I'm able to have the field that I'm in. But there's a writer named Courtney Scheinmel, and I signed up her first books, her first book was Sincerely Sophie, which became Sincerely Sophie and Sincerely Katie. I loved it. Middle grade novel. We had lunch together. I ran into her on the subway, and I thought she was a former intern I'd worked at in another job. I have no visual recognition for people at all. But the only reason that I'm still alive is I remember what they write so well that, like, people forgive me for the fact that, like, I was her editor and I did not recognize her on the subway. It was incredibly embarrassing.
Fair enough.
But I remembered her book, and that's the important thing.